This video will contain spoilers. Um, I swear that I reviewed this, but apparently not. So I'm just gonna have to do it now, even though it's been nearly a month. Like I'm recording this on the 5th of January. I don't remember when I seen this, but because this is the first film I seen after Wake Up Dead Man, which is the last movie I reviewed, it's probably nearly a month. How the Grinch Stole Christmas, or as the film called itself, The Grinch. Sorry about that. Mixed ratings. I watched it in the cinema. Directed by Ron Howard, starring Jim Carrey, Taylor Momsen, Jeffrey Tambor, Molly Shannon, Bryce Dallas Howard, Anthony Hopkins, TJ Fine, Jim Maskman, French lawyer, Frank Welker. The film was okay. It was carried by Jim Carrey's performance, and the only other thing I really have to sort of praise the film for is the fact that there's so many candid angles in the film. It kind of feels like a Tim Burton movie, and I appreciate that. Maybe I would add more to say if I was reviewing this immediately, but I don't think so. National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. Universally positive ratings. I watched it in the cinema. Chevy Chase, Juliette Lewis, Johnny Galecki, Beverly D'Angelo, Julia Louis Dreyfus. Um, when I seen in the opening credits that John Hughes had wrote it, I was like, oh goddamn! And then when the film actually started, I was like, yeah, this is definitely a John Hughes movie. um, I think this is the first Chevy Chase movie I've seen because I just I don't know why I need to say because like it's obvious why I just haven't seen any of the others. The only thing I know I've seen Chevy Chase in is the first two episodes of Community, but I couldn't get into that show. This, on the other hand, is really good, and it's all down to John Hughes being an amazing writer. Um, Unfortunately, I can't think of anything to say. Um, it wasn't a perfect movie by any means, but I can't think of anything bad I have to say about the film. And usually, you remember the bad stuff more than you remember the good. Silent Night, Deadly Night 2025. Mixed ratings. I watched it in the cinema. I don't recognize anyone here. I could have sworn that I did a review for this as well, but the only thing I can think of is that maybe I did it on my tablet, which is very it's very unlike me. I did check what videos I had recorded on my phone, but the only thing I had there was the review for Avatar that I didn't upload for nearly a month. And yeah, looking at my tablet, there's nothing there. It's not on my iPad either, so I don't know. I could have sworn that I did the Grinch and the review for this, but and then sort of by extension, National Lampoon's Christmas. But I guess not, so I'm just gonna have to redo it. And before I go on to Silent Night, I just remembered something mentioning National Lampoon's Christmas. I get that they called it Christmas Vacation because they had National Lampoon's Vacation, which was a massive success. Um, and it might be the same characters. I'm not too sure, but it's just there's no fucking vacation in it. And I do get that throwing the National Lampoon name on there at the time was sort of like an almost guaranteed success. Um, Sort of the equivalent of Steven Spielberg Presents. But what the fuck even is National Lampoon? I know it's a magazine, and that's it. So this film is really just called Christmas. Anyway, as for Silent Night, I have not seen any of the originals. Um, I can't remember where, but some places, like websites and shit, said this was a comedy. And it is kind of a comedy. Like there is some funny bits in it, but it's few and far between, and the horror isn't really all that much either. So if you're expecting one or the other or both, you're gonna be disappointed. But I think story wise, it was a pretty decent movie. Um, I'm I don't know how to feel about the ending where Billy sort of transfers his spirit or whatever the fuck you want to call it onto. It doesn't even say the name of that character there. Ruby Modine's character, Modine, whatever. Um, because like she's a mostly normal person. Like yeah, she has some mental issues, but who doesn't? You know, she's obsessed with true crime, and she made a joke at the start of the film where she said to Billy, "Oh, I only talk to you if you're a serial killer or something like that." And then by the end of the film, he does reveal that he's a serial killer. But I feel like Ruby should have like distanced herself from him. Like, I get he's trying to be like Dexter and kill only people that deserve it, but it's just, yeah, she has her mental issues, but she's a mostly normal person. Like, if we're doing this Dexter comparison, imagine if Dexter said to Rita that he was a serial killer. She's not going to be like, oh, that it's kind of interesting. Can you take me with you? I'm gonna stay with you and all that. I'm not gonna divorce you, call the police, whatever. Like that just wouldn't make sense. But overall, it was a pretty decent film, and I would have liked to see a sequel. The Santa Claus, mixed ratings. I watched it in cinema. Tim Allen, Frank Welker, Lachlan Murdoch. Okay, it's a bit weird. Um, this is the first one that I don't think I did a review for. So I do remember that some of the things I did want to say about it is that one, the CGI in this is dog shit. Given that this is a Disney Christmas movie from 1994, that's to be expected. But it's just maybe don't use CGI then. Maybe find another way to do it. Like instead of having it the Tim gets small, make it so that the chimney gets big or something like that. Um. Also, don't like the fact that he just rapidly gains weight and can't lose it. Like the beard and shit like that. I can handle that. That's fine. But I think just anytime a character just suddenly goes from skinny to fat, it creeps me out because I am fat and it's just I don't want it to be. I just can't stop eating. Um, I know it sounds depressing, but it's not. It's not too bad. I'm just gonna have to move on. The only other thing I can think of to say, actually, there's two things. One, the kid is annoying. I wish that he wasn't in this film. because he doesn't shut the fuck up, and and he actually ruins like a lot of things for Tim, because Tim was just trying to get on with his life, but no, the kid had to make everyone think that Tim was like schizophrenic or whatever. Um, and then the second thing is uh, the whole thing where like his ex-wife and the ex-wife's new boyfriend or husband or whatever sort of realized that he is Santa. That was done terribly. The acting isn't all that good. The writing isn't all that good. Which is probably why the acting isn't that good. It's just not good. That's all I have to say about it. Avatar: Fire and Ash. Mixed ratings. I watched it in cinema, directed by James Cameron, starring Zoe Saldana, Sam Worthington, Sigourney Weaver, Kate Winslet, Anna Chaplin, Stephen Lang, David Thewlis, Edie Falco, CCH Pounder, Cliff Curtis, Jermaine Clement, Giovanni Ribisi, Joel David Moore, Laz Alonso apparently. The film is exactly the same as Avatar 2. Like, people, I've heard people say that Avatar 1 and Avatar 2 are the same, and I wouldn't say that's a wrong comparison, but it's just, I would say that they're too different to say that they're the same. Whereas Avatar 3 just did not need to exist because it doesn't really do anything new. You know, I don't remember much from the second film, but what I do remember is that the overall plot was they're attacked and they have to move, and they move into the water tribe's place, and then they get attacked again, but the I don't know what air navi or the earth navi, whatever the fuck, I don't know, whatever one they are, and the water navi team up to to defeat the humans. Um, this film, it doesn't introduce any new characters because Varang was introduced in Avatar 2. She wasn't introduced in this. The only new location is Varang's area, but they don't really do anything with it. It's cool, but it it's not enough. Um, and by the end of the film, they're attacked, and guess what? The water navi, and Jake's family team up to defeat the humans. The only other thing that happened that is kind of unique is Quaritch starts to fall for Varang, which I do think that's planting a seed for Avatar 4 or Avatar 5, where maybe he's going to betray the humans, just like Jake did. But I don't know. Also, only one minor character dies in this film. None of the major characters die. Sorry, Kate Winslet dies, but the deaths of those characters don't really just serve any purpose. So it's just genuinely, I imagine you could watch Avatar 4 without watching this, having seen 1 and 2, and it will make sense because this film just, they should have went straight from Avatar 2 to whatever the plot of Avatar 4 is going to be. I don't think this is a bad film, it's just, it's unnecessary. Miracle on 34th Street, 1994. Universally negative ratings. I watched it in cinema. Richard Attenborough, Mara Wilson, Elizabeth Perkins, Dylan McDermott, Jennifer Morrison, James Remar. Why does this film have universally negative ratings? It's a really good film. To be clear, I have not seen the original, so maybe the original is so much better, but I just don't know. Sorry, I haven't got my tablets in a couple days because it's just after the Christmas period. Um, Richard was perfect casting. They couldn't have known this because it came out before the practice, but Dylan McDermott was perfect casting. Um, like this film is basically just Bobby Donnell uh, defending Santa, and I love that. I do find it kind of weird that the first half of the film is Richard and Mara Wilson, and then it transitions to Richard and Dylan McDermott. But I don't have a problem with that. It's just kind of weird. Also, I want to point out John Hughes wrote this. I find it kind of weird that John Hughes has written at least 3 Christmas movies, but as far as I know, haven't directed a single Christmas movie. Because I don't know who directed this, and I don't know who directed Christmas Vacation, but it wasn't him. And Home Alone was done by Chris Columbus. I can't think of anything else to say. Now we're getting on to the things that I've seen a lot more recently. Fackham Hall, universally negative ratings. I watched it in cinema. Jimmy Carr, Thomasin McKenzie, Damian Lewis, Tom Felton, Catherine Watterson, Sue Johnston, Tom Goodman Hill. My dad had told me about this quite a while back, and with him being as cryptic as he is, when I found out what it was, I was like, why the fuck do you want to watch this? Jimmy Carr wrote it. He's like, oh no, trust me, it does seem really funny. Like, my dad doesn't like Jimmy Carr. I don't like Jimmy Carr, but I haven't seen the trailer. We were really excited to watch it. It's basically like a parody of Downton Abbey. And even though I haven't seen Downton Abbey, I, I think that could be quite funny. This could be the scary movie of Downton Abbey, I am recording this on Monday. I had seen this last Tuesday. That's the 30th of December, I think. Um, it was the last day that I was free because I was working Wednesday and Thursday. Wait, I wasn't working Thursday, but no, sorry, I'm getting my dates mixed up. I was imagining in my head my rota for the week of Christmas, not the week of New Year's. I was working Thursday, and then Friday was gone. I didn't say it with my dad. Um, just seen on my own, and it turns out that Jimmy Carr is only like one of 5 or 6 writers in the film. But anyway, the film is really funny. Like it's very Naked Gun in its style of humor, which I appreciate because I fucking love Naked Gun. um, all I knew was that Damian Lewis and Jimmy Carr. I didn't know about anyone else because I like Thomasin McKenzie. I've seen her in a couple things by this point. Like I've seen um, Eileen and Last Night in Soho, and wasn't she the sister in Jojo Rabbit? But it's just anytime I see her, I don't really recognize her. So I didn't realize that she was in it. And my dad doesn't really know her because he doesn't like good movies. Anyway. I actually don't know what else to say, even though I've seen it a lot more recently than I've seen the other films up to this point. I don't. It's not really that kind of film where you can say a lot about it. It's just it's funny. I do think it's kind of weird that it it ends with um Thomason marrying her cousin, because I thought that maybe, they're making jokes the whole time about how they're they're all inbred, but I thought maybe that it would end with her like sort of ending that tradition by marrying someone she's not related to, but no, it fully does end with them marrying, and um it doesn't like try to say about it being a bad thing or anything like that. That is all I have to say about it. The Housemaid, positive rating, directed by Paul Feig. I watched it in cinema. Sydney Sweeney, Brendan Sklenar, if that's how you pronounce it. Amanda Seyfried. Why does my voice sound so weird? Elizabeth Perkins. Sorry about that. I dropped my phone. That's the first. The rating used to be a 6.9, but it must have gone up to a 7, I guess. I had known going into the film that Paul Feig had directed it, but then I forgot about that when I actually seen the film, and when his name appeared in the credits, I was like, what the fuck? Why is he directing this? Because this film does have comedy elements to it, but it is overall a drama, like a 70, not even 75, like 90% drama, 10% comedy, maybe. Um, it's just weird because Paul is a comedy guy. Like, he did Spy, the all female Ghostbusters movie, both Simple Favor movies, and he's produced a whole fuck ton of Judd Apatow related stuff. I was talking to my friend, um, like the day that I went to see this, and she said, "Oh, I was asking if she wanted to see it, and she said, "Oh no, I've seen it yesterday. It was okay." And then I think it's better than okay. I think it's really good. I like the whole twist that it's Brandon is the one that's fucked up. It's not Amanda. And it does kind of like raise a good point about how a lot of people assume that just because someone is good looking means that they cannot be a bad person. Because, you know, during the Ted Bundy trial, a lot of women supported him. And there was that, I don't know the name of that guy, but there was a guy that was arrested sometime during the pandemic. I don't know what the charge was, but let's just assume it was murder. Um, there were a lot of people, a lot of women on TikTok who were like, "Oh, I can fix them. Look at those baby blue eyes." Like, there's no way he could have committed this crime. It does kind of help his case that because it was during the pandemic, he had to wear a mask, so the only thing you could see was his eyes. But it's just the point is that this isn't like a feminist thing. This is a real thing that happens where women will defend a guy from all these horrible things just because he is good looking. And don't get me wrong, it happens with guys as well, where a guy will defend a girl, but I would say most of the time that I've seen that, it's been ironic stuff. It's never been. The only time I've seen it seriously happen is there's this guy on TikTok who he looks to see like women that have been arrested, like their mugshots and shit, and if they're good looking, he'll bail them out, hoping that they'll like fuck him or whatever. But most of the time when I see it happening, like a guy defending a girl, most of it's just ironic. But it does happen on both sides, and the film does kind of raise awareness of that. I both find it kind of weird, but at the same time, like how the film ends with Sydney basically being a sort of, I don't know, liberationist, I guess, where if there's like a woman in an abusive relationship, they hire her as like the housemaid, and then she will, I guess, kill the husband. The only thing is that, like, realistically, if she just kills all of them, the police are going to put it together that she's killing them, and I would want to kind of see like a sequel where she's kind of like Dexter, where she just acts as a housemaid, looks for evidence that the husband is abusive, and then does whatever she needs to do to get rid of him. Overall, I really enjoyed this. Like, it's a lot better than okay, in my opinion. Song Blue, universally negative or positive ratings. I watched it in the cinema. Hugh Jackman, Kate Hudson, Michael Imperioli, Jim Belushi. I seen this on Saturday. Um, it's really good. Um, I find it kind of weird that this is. Oh no, it's not. Fuck. The whole time I was watching this, I was thinking technically it's the first time I've heard Hugh Jackman with an American accent because Wolverine is Canadian, but I've just remembered Prisoners. I've seen that. He's American in that. Even though I can't hear the difference between his American accent and his Canadian accent. Um, I actually can't think of what this is. Actually, I can't think of something. I will relate this back to the film, I promise. When Mel Gibson was making Hacksaw Ridge, he intentionally um, didn't tell the full story because he didn't want to be accused of making it up. Um, and it feels like this. I don't know how true the film is to real life, but it's just I don't believe it. Like, Kate Hudson gets run over by a car, and then she spends the next at least half an hour just being depressed and angry and stuff. But then eventually she's like, you know what, the accident took my leg. I'm not going to let it take anything else. Like, I'm going to be happy. I'm going to do whatever I want and all that. And she goes back to the spot where she was hit. And then she walks away. And as she walks away, another fucking car hits the exact same, like, not her because she's out of the way, but it hits the same place in the house. And it's just, I don't believe the two people hit the exact same fucking place like that. Like, unless it's a really bad corner or something, but like, they're in the middle of the suburbs. You should be doing at most 20 miles an hour. So I just don't see how that could have happened in real life. Now, if it did happen in real life, I apologize, but it just doesn't seem right to me. Moving on. Actually, there is another thing that I don't believe. The fact that Hugh Jackman's character died just before he met Neil Diamond. It's just, it seems too Hollywood, you know? Once again, if it did happen, I apologize. But I just. It's too good writing to be realistic, in my opinion, you know? I can't really think of anything else to say. It's a really good movie. Marty Supreme, universally negative. It's twice I've done that now. Universally positive ratings. Directed by Josh Safdie. I watched it in cinema. Timothée Chalamet, Gwyneth Paltrow, Fran Drescher, Tyler the Creator. Also Penn Jillette from Pinnacle. He's right there. I wanted to watch this with Ginger, but what happened was that I seen this yesterday. He had messaged the group chat asking anyone for a lift because his car is fucked. And he said that he was willing to pay £10 for it, and I thought I'd probably be making more money than I'm losing because it's like saying £9 of petrol, and I'm gaining £10. Yeah, it's a £1 profit, but a profit's a profit. Excuse me. Hold on, I need that. I was fully planning just to pick Ginger up. I wasn't going to go see any films. But then my dad, when he came home from work, he said, "Oh, well, why are you doing this? Like, what if your car breaks down?" And I said, "Well, if my car breaks down, it's because there was something wrong with the car, and if I didn't go out last night, then it would have meant that my car would have broke down today. So, what difference does it make?" But I decided, fuck it, I'll look see what's on. Marty Supreme was on, because of the time I started and shit. It would have finished by about like 11:20, I think. So I thought that's good. Like, I can just go watch this, sit in the car for a bit. It will be freezing cold because it's been snowing. But I'll just have to turn the car on and use the radiator and shit. I'll watch stuff I've got on my phone while I wait. And I missed the start of the film. I don't know how much I missed, but I know that it was before the opening credits that I came in. Because when I came in, Marty was talking to his boss a bit, and the boss was like, "Oh, I'm going to make you manager." And Marty's like, "No, I'm going to do my table tennis. Like, no, I'll take this back." And then he goes out to his girlfriend, and they have sex, and then the the fucking the sperm entering the egg is the fucking opening credits. So I don't think I missed much. Hopefully I didn't. And like, the reason why I missed it is because, like, there's a petrol station on the way to the cinema, and then there's another petrol station just a little bit further on ahead past the cinema. I thought, oh, I'll go to the one just further on ahead because they sell like slightly bigger white monsters. Like, Monster is usually 500 milliliters, but they have these 550 milliliter monsters that have lids so you can keep it fresh. I thought I'll go get one of those, but it turns out they fucking shut. Which I don't get why they did that, because this was only 8 o'clock, so it wasn't that late. But I had to backtrack and go to the other one. I would have just got petrol after the film, but it was after midnight, like none of the places would have been open. And I didn't want to have to get petrol today because I'm working today. And whenever I'm working, I just want to like go straight to work. I don't want to have to go get petrol. And then there was a massive queue at the food aisle, and I wanted popcorn because it's 2 hours and 30 minutes. I'm not gonna just sit there without popcorn. Anyway, I hope this film is nominated for Best Picture next year because it is that good. it's it's very whiplashy. Like the whole thing is obsession. He has this goal. He wants to be like the best table tennis player, and the film starts with him doing that. Like, he gets all the way up to the final, but then he loses to this Japanese guy, and he's like, "Right, I'll just go to the tournament next year and I'll beat him, and I'll be rich and famous." And he goes back home to New York, and that's where the trouble starts because he took $700 from his uncle, from the uncle's safe. And to be clear, his uncle owed him that money, but Marty just took the money without saying to the uncle because the uncle had fucked off to do something. But then when he came home, the uncle was like, "Oh no, give me back my money" and all that. Actually gets the police involved. Marty runs away, and then it's just him trying to raise money so that he can uh, get to Japan. And it takes him so long, and he does so many fucked up things, whether directly or indirectly, and it's just, god damn. This everything that's fucked up in this film that happened is a product of Marty's obsession over table tennis. He said at some point in the film that he is a man with a goal, and he has to live up to that goal. And I feel like by the end of the film, when he actually gets to Japan, he kind of changes that goal slightly. He doesn't want to, because it's too late for him to participate in the tournament. Like he's not getting in because it's just too late to sign up and then everything like that. He's not going to be getting any money, but he does have an opportunity to play against the Japanese guy again. So the goal has now become just beat this one guy to prove that he is the best. He doesn't even make any money or fame out of it. He just needs to prove to himself that he is that guy. And he does. He beats the guy. And then the way the film ends, I feel like you can make up your own ending. Like it is a little open ended. Like most likely what happened is that Marty didn't get any money out of it. It's just because he put on such a good show for the American troops that he was able, like, they had, they sympathized with him and gave him the ride back on the plane. But one can hope that he did actually get a bit of money, even if it's just a little. I don't think that's what it is. The ending, my headcanon is that Marty didn't get any money out of it. He has gone home to visit his girlfriend, and he after the film ends, he'll just say to her, like, "I didn't get any money out of it, but I'm giving up table tennis. Like, I've done everything that I can do with that. I'll still play for fun and shit, but I'm not going to do any more competitions. I'm going to get a real job, get some real money, so I can provide for you and the baby. I think that's great. That's a really good ending. And even though Marty did all these fucked up things, I sympathize with him because he's the main character. So, this is a really fucking good movie. I don't want to say that it should be Best Picture just yet because, this is the first. This isn't even the first film in 2026. It came out in 2025. So, I want to wait to see what films come out this year that I could compete with. Anyway. End review. Apollo Justice Ace Attorney. I'm gonna go check what this is. Never mind, it was a spam. Yeah, the last game I played was Broken Age, which, god damn, it was a long fucking time ago. I remember that I had used a walkthrough for like too much of the game, and I did feel ashamed from it. I didn't intentionally set out to play this game next, just to try and sort of redeem myself. It's what came out next on the wheel that I spun. I really need a fucking drink. Just to be clear about something, I'm playing the Apollo Justice Trilogy collection on PlayStation. My sort of history with Phoenix Wright is that it's one of those things I tried to watch on YouTube but just couldn't get into it. And then when they made the remake of the original trilogy, all the way back in 2019, I had bought it and played through it then. I didn't want to spend however much money it costs to get Apollo Justice because DS games are ridiculously expensive. So even though I don't like doing this, I decided to watch it on YouTube. I don't know how far I got. I remember the second case when I played it. The third case I think I got onto, but I don't think I finished that. So that's why I'm only doing an end review for this. But I did play all of Dual Destiny, so there won't be a review for that at all. And then I started Spirit of Justice, and I got up until I think investigation day 1 of the third case. So really, I could do a middle review for that, but I'm not going to. But moving on to Apollo Justice, I love the way that all the Phoenix Wright games tie all the cases into one big connected story. You would think that it would get to the point where they're just sort of forcing some bullshit in just so they can do that, but no, it is all sort of seamless. I have heard that people aren't a big fan of this game. I don't know if it's a case of just, oh, where's Phoenix Wright? Or anything like that, but it's just, I like Apollo. He's a great character. I do think it's a little bullshit that Phoenix acts in the way that he does in this game, but then, and Apollo reacts the same way that Phoenix would have, because all the mysterious bullshit that Phoenix is pulling in this game, everyone else pulled the Phoenix in the original trilogy and in any case in Dual Destinies and Spirit of Justice where you play as him. So the fact that he does it to Apollo is just bullying. I don't like that. I do get that it had to sort of make sure that if the twist didn't happen until the end. Otherwise, it wouldn't have been a twist. But it's just, I don't like it. But all the characters in this are great. Like Trissy is great, Apollo's great, Gavin is great, Emma is good. It's great seeing Emma again. It was kind of weird that they brought her back, but I'm glad they did. I also love the whole Snaku thing, especially I think it's in the third case. Anytime you try and talk to her, she'll just throw a Snaku at you. I thought that was really funny. Um, I, it's so satisfying when you get something right, and I do sort of miss that feeling. Or I forgot what it was like. Um, but what was the thing I had to say? I don't like the fact that they have pressing in the game, because I never know when to press. Like usually, what I'll do is I'll just start pressing on every single thing before I try to look for. If I notice something during the testimony, I'll go to that and I'll present the evidence. But if that doesn't work, I'll just press on every single statement, and then if that doesn't work, then I start to look at the other statements. I did have to use a walkthrough a couple of times, but it was only a small handful. And what I did was I didn't like look up the full answer. I looked up part of it, so it was like, say the answer was to present this evidence on this statement. I just looked at what statement to present the evidence on. I didn't actually look at what the evidence was. And then now that I know that this is the statement, I can like get a sort of better look at the evidence and go, oh right, okay, this one, yeah, that makes sense. So I'm not ashamed of myself for having to use a walkthrough, because there were a couple things where it's like, oh, how the fuck was I supposed to get that? Um, and it's so few and far between. That's all I have to say about the game. Final review: The War Between the Land and the Sea. This is what I watched when I was waiting on Ginger getting out last night. The show was really good. I do love the whole environmental things. Like these are all things I mentioned in the beginning review. Um, the whole romance thing with Salt is so fucking overdone. Like, I don't see how the show could have worked without it. So I do get why they did it, but it's overdone. I wasn't expecting the ending to be as dark as it was. I thought that it would basically just be Doctor Who without the Doctor. Like they give, whether it be Barkley or Kate, whoever, someone gives this big speech, and Homo Aqua are basically just okay, good peace, like that. That's it. That's the end of the war. But no, it very very realistic writing, where they put a virus in the water that kills 90% of Homo Aqua, and then the rest of the Homo Aqua do another meeting where they're like we give up. Just please leave us the fuck alone. Do whatever you want. It's so depressing, but it's so realistic, because it is just sort of human nature to just kill everything. I don't like the post credit. I swear Russell said that it was supposed to be like something really, really important, and it just wasn't. And not only that, it was cringe. The fact that Kate pulls out her fucking gun and threatens to kill the guy just because he like threw away a plastic bottle. I do get the whole point of the show was environmentalism, and also she's been through a shit ton from this one miniseries alone. So it's not in the best place mentally, but it's I just don't think it was all that good.